Oprah says, doing the best at this moment puts you in the best place for the next moment. I just love Oprah Winfrey. She's one of my mentors, I just love her. She's fabulous, right? So how does this apply to fertility testing and conception? So come join me, grab your cup of tea, and let's unpack this in a special edition with Tea with the Fertility Godmother. I am Denise and I'm known as the Fertility Godmother because of my recipe to be able to help women with their fertility and their conception that has led to thousands of babies being born over the course of my career. And it's so amazing. So let's deep dive into the fertility testing and unpack these components right now. Welcome. I have my notes here to make sure that I cover everything. So if you see me looking down, it's just cueing me, but it's all focusing on you. So today we're going to be talking about the different tests that can be done for your fertility journey so that you can make sure that you're making the most of this time, because your health and your time are the most precious gifts that you can really have, and you don't want to trivialize them. So some things that you can do. We're going to first talk about home testing, and then we're going to dive into the clinical testing. So I'm not sure if you know, but you can actually, there's a company that actually does home hormone testing. Does that sound right? Hormonal testing at home. And it's called Modern Fertility. You can go to modernfertility.com and check out their website and all their amazing reviews. It's quite amazing. You just do a little prick on the finger and you send it in, or you can also obviously go to a lab, a local lab as well. But and they send it in, and it's really affordable pricing because you need to budget as you're preparing for a baby, as we always budget for everything. It's only $159 for 7 tests, and they're pretty good. It's a nice standard test that they do, so you can check that out. I really like this company. The other home tests that are really important for you to do at home is, you may or may not be doing it. I know a lot of women that don't really feel like they need to do this. It's called an OPK kit, or ovulation predictor kit, and there's different ones out there. And you don't have to spend a lot of money, but people like to do like the bracelets, or they like to have the apps that read things for them. So there's a bunch of different things. Hi Tatiana. There's a bunch of different things that you can do in order to test with the ovulation predictor kit. One of the things though that I think the instructions say to do it first urine in the morning, but actually LH, because when you're doing an ovulation predictor kit, you're testing the luteinizing hormone. It likes to wake up a little bit late. It likes to sleep in. So really the best time to test for your LH, that ovulation strip, is after 10 in the morning. And the other thing that is really important is, don't drink a lot of water right before you test. Okay, make sure you're not completely too hydrated, because it will dilute it. So that's really important, and I see a lot of women don't know that. The other thing that's really important is to do a basal body temperature. Hi, Rachel. Thanks for coming in. The other thing that's really important for you to do is a basal body temperature. And it's not maybe a test, but I think it's testing your body. Like, how many of you really know what your body's telling you? If are you paying attention to the signs and symptoms? So that's the home test. Like, I believe that your body tells you everything that you need to know. And so you want to be looking for, I know that the test would be, are you feeling any symptoms of ovulating? Are you having any sensations? Are you getting the fertile mucus when you're supposed to? Are you dry? What is your body telling you? Are you feeling a little more frisky around ovulation? There's signs that's happening for you, and it's really important that you connect it. And the other thing that's really great about doing the basal body temperature is that it really gets you in touch with what's going on, and you're charting it, you're documenting it. Just like if you've ever done some type of a weight loss program, the best way to get results is to really be mindful and write everything down. So that writing everything that you put in your mouth down, so that you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I did this. And it makes you much more mindful. So it helps you connect to your body, and then you can take a look at it and see. So I know some docs poo-poo it, but for me, it is like an amazing source of information. And not only that, but when I take a look at it, I can compare them and make sure that you're moving in the right direction. I can find underlying conditions. But the biggest thing for you is to know what your body is telling you. Is your chart having the biphasic, the 2 different levels? When are you ovulating? Are you getting any symptoms? You can also pay attention to, like, if you're having any menstrual problems or any menstrual cramps or PMS, and just really get crystal clear on what your body is telling you. So those are the 3 things that I really recommend for the home testing. Okay, and then, so we're going to go ahead and put that aside, and I'm going to ask you if you have been to the doctor yet because you want to get pregnant. Have you been? Because a lot of times I'll have the women come in and they'll tell me, or I'll be talking to them on the phone, and they're telling me, oh yeah, I went to the doctor and they just told me, just go have lots of sex, right? And they're the authority, and you trying to get pregnant. So you're thinking, okay, well, maybe that wasn't that painful. That's not so bad. But is it really all you need to do? So I'm going to share with you right now some things that can really be helpful for you, so that you can circle back if your doctor doesn't recommend the test that you need. You can circle back and just ask them, right? Because they are so busy. It's kind of like gardening, they're doing the mow and blow. They're so busy. There's so much for them to get through, and I know they want to serve you and serve you well, but it's limiting. And there's a good chance that most people don't have a problem getting pregnant, but we know that 1 in 8, 1 in 6 actually now, women do. And you want to be on top of your game, because you don't want to waste the time. I really feel like having these tests should be just part of the care, but it's not. So therefore, I'm giving you these tools. So grab your pen and paper. You're going to be wanting to write them down. I see your questions. I'll try to go back to them at the end of this. I want to get through some of this information, but I do want to answer your questions. Okay, so we don't want to trivialize your health and your time. And let me see. So the test that you want to do is, a lot of times I see women that come in, and men too. They haven't even had a physical. So I'm going to ask you, when is the last time you had a physical? When's the last time you had somebody take a look and make sure that everything's functioning properly? Your lipids look good. Your cholesterol is okay. Your vitamin D is really important for your fertility and for so much in your overall health. But it's important for ovarian function. It's important for implantation. It's important for balancing things out. So important, your vitamin D. When's the last time you had that tested? So those are some things. We also want to make sure you're not anemic. Do you have enough vitamin B in your body, the B complex? These are some things that are so important that I take a look at all the time to make sure that everything's looking good in your blood work, making sure that your body's balanced, right? You also want to do a hormone panel. So on the things that you want to check for hormone will be your Anti-Müllerian Hormone. What this does is it checks to see how about approximately, how many follicles you have. So it gives you an idea of, do you have an abundant amount of follicles, like 10 follicles on each side, or are you low on eggs and you only have maybe 2 or 3? That doesn't mean you can't get pregnant. I have many women who have had babies with really low AMH, and they go to the doctor, and the doctor will tell them that they can't get pregnant, or it's going to be like a 0.5% chance of getting pregnant. I don't want you to take that on. It's just information. So you do want to know your AMH. You also want to know your thyroid. How is your thyroid functioning? So it's so important. Hi guys, thanks for coming on. Hi Jamie, hi T. Laura and Jay. You also want to know, okay, I got sidetracked there, sorry, squirrel. I got excited to say hi. So it's really important to know your thyroid function, because your thyroid is the I'm going to call it the puppet master, right? It controls all the other things that are going on in your body. And you want to make sure that that is usually under 2. I've seen some docs be okay with it at under 2.5. But when you're trying to get pregnant, the thyroid has a pretty big range. You don't want it to be normal. You want to take a look at that number and make sure, because the thyroid controls your hormones. It controls the intelligence of your baby, and it can also impact if you're miscarriage. So it's so important to make sure that that thyroid is important. And when you get pregnant, they definitely test it. But I think it's good to test it before and when you get pregnant to have it tested again. On day 2 or 3 of your menstrual cycle is when you're going to want to test the follicle stimulating hormone and your estrogen. But you really need to do them together, and it has to be on day 2 or 3. I can't tell you the number of women that I talk to that have had this test done and they don't even know what day of their cycle. There's no documentation. They didn't do it on day 2 or 3. If you don't do it on day 2 or 3 of your cycle, it doesn't give you the information that is needed. Okay. I also like to test prolactin, because prolactin sometimes, especially if you've had a child, it produces milk, and it can inhibit ovulation. That doesn't mean it always does, but a lot of times there's a problem with it. So even if you're breastfeeding and you're still breastfeeding and it's been a long time and you're ready to go for your second child and it's been a challenge, it's been a long time, you're probably going to be okay, but you want to just make sure you check that prolactin level. Okay, and then I like to test LH, luteinizing hormone. That's the hormone that helps make sure your periods are balanced, and that's when you're ovulating. And it also gives me some other information about your whole health history of your menstrual cycle. And then, of course, progesterone and testosterone. So those to me are the basic. There are some other tests, but those are the basic blood tests that I want you to do. So quick recap, because that was a lot of information there. I want you to make sure you have a physical, all right? When's the last time you had a physical? When's the last time you had a doctor? If you're over 38 and you haven't had a mammogram, you want to probably go get a mammogram. I just threw that in there, but that's kind of important because, God willing, you're going to get pregnant and you're going to hopefully breastfeed and it's going to be a few years later, so you want to get that baseline. You want to test your AMH, your thyroid, your FSH and estrogen on day 2, your prolactin, your luteinizing hormone, progesterone, testosterone. Those are going to be on your vitamin D. Vitamin D is so important. There's other things, but again, that's going to be a really good baseline for you. The other thing that's really important is you want your partner to get a semen analysis. Okay, so semen analysis don't tell you everything, but they tell you some really good information. They're going to tell you at least, does he have sperm, right? Is it moving in the right direction? What are the shapes of it? And those are going to be really important for you to know. Even if you've had a kid before, I know if you have secondary infertility, you still want to make sure that your husband, because things change, you still want to make sure that your partner is healthy and that everything is moving in the right direction. So semen analysis. The other thing is, once you go through this, so these are kind of the steps that you do things in, you'll want to get a Hysterosalpingogram to make sure that your tubes are open and that there's nothing in the uterus like a polyp or a fibroid that could possibly be blocking your possibility of conception. And even if you've had a child before and you're having some secondary infertility, please make sure you get, at the very least, a saline ultrasound of your uterus, because I see it all the time and that goes undiagnosed. You want to make sure to get that polyp and get it removed if they have it. It's a simple procedure, but I've seen it block women who've had several kids, not several kids, I didn't mean to say that, but several women who have had kids, they still develop things in their uterus that causes problems for them while they're trying to get pregnant. So you want to get that ultrasound. And if you're going for insemination, if you're working with a fertility doctor, please insist that they at least take a look at your ovaries. I mean, hopefully they're looking at your ovaries, but they're looking at your uterus to make sure that there is no polyp or fibroid there. I can't tell you the amount of times that women have had an insemination, an IUI, and they find out later that they have a polyp and they want to remove it after all that time's been wasted. It's so disheartening. So there you have it. So let's go back to that quote. Doing the best at this moment puts you in the best place for the next moment. So being your best now, you're planning to be at your best moment. It just really couldn't be more true. So I gave you a lot of information today. I hope you found it helpful. Let me go back here. I saw a couple questions here. Did I see it? I thought I saw a question. My ovaries usually pulsate a bit, like premenstrual sensation. Oh, okay. That tells you that you're getting ready to ovulate. So that's wonderful that you can pay attention. So some people have that. Some people have pain. Some people get other tingling sensations. And you also want to make sure, again, going back to, your fertile mucus around the time of ovulation. So important. Okay. I think that's it, you guys. Thanks so much for joining. I will see you next week here on Tea with the Fertility Godmother. And please send in your questions. If I missed anything or if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And I'd love your suggestions for future teas. Take care. Here's to your health, happiness, and fertility. And I'll see you next time. Mwah. Bye.